evening and thanks for joining us. Part of the North Downtown Core was shut down this morning after a water main break that wreaked havoc for businesses in the area. A city official in the infrastructure department said the break occurred at approximately 7:30 a.m. and sent water flowing down Park Avenue. The interior area from Park to Red River Road and Court Street to Cumberland were affected. The OLG Casino was among those businesses that were forced to close for much of the afternoon, but has since been reopened. The apartment complex in the corner of Park and Cumberland is said to have sustained significant water damage. The crews were expected to have all their work completed around noon. Well, Thunder Bay Fire Rescue were called to a home on Walkover Street earlier this morning after neighbors reported smoke and flames coming from the structure. The fire broke out around 3 in the morning. Fire crews responded and were able to get the fire under control quickly. However, the home received extensive damage throughout. It appears that the fire started in the basement, burning through to the main floor. Nobody was at home at the time of the blaze, but 2 family cats were rescued.
It was discovered early in the morning by a neighbor who was alerted by flames showing. Nobody was home at the time. Apparently the homeowner was visiting out of town. They've since returned. Fire crews were able to achieve a quick knockdown. There is interior damage to the house. Appears the fire may have started in the basement, but that's not confirmed yet.
The investigation into the fire is ongoing. Anishinaabe police have confirmed 4 people died last Thursday in a tragic house fire in Mishkegoguming First Nation. The bodies were found inside the home. Post-mortem examinations are scheduled for later this week in Toronto. Police say the investigation into the fire is still ongoing and further updates will be released as they become available. Well, the Playgrounds program is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. In honor of the achievement, the City of Thunder Bay is claiming this year as the Year of Play, and they kicked off celebrations with the 2nd annual Winterfest. The marina was packed with families and kids of all ages. Whether attendees decided to skate, snowshoe, browse the snow sculptures, have your face painted, or ride some fat bikes, there was a variety of physical activities for just about everyone. The goal of the Playgrounds had set out to achieve aimed to show kids that they don't have to be perfect. The event had everyone busy taking in all it had to offer with a few laughs along the way.
Trying something, not having to be perfect at it, not having to become excellent at it, but just to come out and play and to just try some things out. And that's been, the focus of our playgrounds and summer recreation programs for kids has always been that, to just have fun and just play and just be children and just be outside and be running around just for the sheer joy of it.
Anyone looking for more information on events happening throughout the year can visit thunderbay.ca/play. Well, Thunder Bay's city manager feels the recently announced federal budget bodes well for the city's proposed event center. The Conservatives say they will provide $14 billion over 10 years for infrastructure. Tim Camisso says that looks promising for the project, but admits there's no guarantees. The Harper government, throughout the Building Canada Fund, is committing $1.4 billion a year towards infrastructure. Camisso says his read of the parameters is that the money is for legacy projects and not basic infrastructure. To qualify, a submission must have regional and economic impacts available.
We think there's the option there to potentially look at having the event center dovetail into that. 10-year program, so it's not like the money's only there this year. It's available over the next few years. And they have funded actually some interesting projects, convention centers, that kind of those type of projects. So we think that's a positive.
Camisso believes the city must continue to do its homework on the proposed event center. He can't see the feds looking at the project without a business plan, full costing, and design. The Ontario government is looking to get involved in a mining dispute, but only for technical reasons, says Mines Minister Michael Gravel. The dispute is between Cliffs Natural Resources and KWG Resources over the granting of an easement. Cliffs lost a ruling last year, essentially preventing the company from moving ahead with a road into the Ring of Fire. The mining commissioner's ruling last September was one of the reasons Cliffs gave for halting its project on the Chromite project. The company is appealing that decision, and the Ministry of the Attorney General is now asking the Ontario Divisional Court to intervene in the appeal process.
We're not taking a position on the appeal that's taking place, but there are various sections of the Mining Act, sections 50 and 51 particularly, related to patented and unpatented mining claims that we think require some clarification. So that's the basis on which we made the decision, at least the Attorney General did, to become involved in the appeal.
The motion for leave will be heard on April 28th. The hearing of the appeal has now been scheduled for mid-June. Well, the beer store says selling beer in convenience stores would lead to higher prices. For our TB News Watch question of the day, we wanted to know whether or not you think that will be the case.
I don't think so. I don't think so, because it's a competitive market. It'll be a competitive market out there, and so I can't see it as going to be higher prices. That's just my opinion.
Yes, I think it would. Probably because they'd get a lot more customers. So getting customers means more prices, or they'd want to increase the prices.
Well, beer prices in America are cheaper in the convenience stores, so I think that's not entirely true. It's a possibility, though.
I think it's government controlled that way, so I think that if they start selling in the corner stores, won't make much of a difference.
I've worked in Newfoundland for a couple summers where they sold beer in convenience store, and it did obviously the taxes are a little higher, but it did obviously seem like the prices were higher at the convenience store than at the liquor store.
I don't think it will lead to higher prices. No, I don't. I think that is just one of the pitches that they are doing to keep it in their stores. But I think there's a lot of good other reasons to keep it in the beer store, though. So I don't think prices is one of them.
I don't think Canadians will mind, though. You know, because we love our beer no matter what. You know, I mean, the States that sell the beer, they have Walmart and all that stuff. So I don't think we'd mind. But it could and it could not. It depends.
Well, the X Games hold some of the craziest athletes willing to risk it all for the roar of the crowd. That intensity is something Thunder Bay has never had the opportunity to show until now. 3 stunt jumping snowmobilers traveled to the city to put on one entertaining show. Mike Albanese reports.
I just raced for a long time, and then I just started hitting ramps for something to do in the summer because we have summer setups so we can ride in the summer, and so that's what I started doing, and then now I'm doing shows and stuff like that.
That was Willie Elam, an avid snowmobile enthusiast and an X Games contender. Elam started snow machining when he was 13. He's now 27 and has a lot of skill under his belt. He came down to Thunder Bay to perform at the 12th annual Voyageur Winter Carnival hosted by Fort William Historical Park. Sam Rogers also came down with him and has done tons of events and made 7 appearances at the X Games. But as he said, he's never done tricks on a frozen river.
That's definitely a first for me, and I mean, I've been doing it for 10 years now, so it's definitely a little different, but I mean, it's why it's called freestyle, you know what I mean? You can make it work, whatever.
Elam and Rogers participate in one of the most dangerous extreme sports on Earth, and they are both well aware. Elam even went as far as to say that everyone who does this gets hurt at one time or another. Rogers' sled was the first victim as he blew a shock on the first jump. Elam's brother-in-law, Drew Latimer, who also came down to jump, was the next to fall.
It sucks because, you know, it can happen anytime. Like, everybody that's done this has been hurt at one point or another. You know, you don't like seeing it. Like, he's actually my brother-in-law, too, so, like, we're really close. So it kind of sucks, you know, because, like, we came all this way and doesn't get to do it. But, you know, it happens. It's just about, like, when it's going to happen, so.
They couldn't confirm exactly what happened to Latimer, but both of the riders said they believe it is a torn ACL. The fans who came to the show were extremely impressed with what they saw, even though Latimer was out for the 2-day show.
No, I think that's really great, and it's too bad one of them ended up getting hurt. I hope he's all right, but I think that idea was fantastic. I mean, that gets a lot of people out here to check out that, and, you know, kids enjoy watching that kind of stuff too, which is just great.
Even the little ones at the event favored the X Game riders.
The snow machines.
The general consensus of people at the day's events was that they'd never see an X Games participant in Thunder Bay. They were proven wrong and enjoyed their show. Mike Albanese, TBT News.
The War of 1812 is being brought to elementary schools around Thunder Bay. 3 staff members from Fort William Historical Park made a stop at Ecole Grand Morgan Public School this past week. The trio hosted a special presentation for the students on the War of 1812.
We were telling them just about the general life of the different regiments, a little bit of the background of the Americans, as well as British North America, also known as Canada. So we were talking about the daily life of the soldiers, the type of food they were eating, medicine on the battlefield, so the type of wounds that could be suffered, all the way through to doing some exercises on marching with them.
It was a fun and exciting history lesson the students got to experience. The staff even dressed up one of the students and taught some others how to march and use a musket. The outreach program is part of War of 1812 bicentennial commemoration activities that are offered by Fort William Historical Park to local and regional schools over the last 2 years. The fort will also stage the War of 1812 bicentennial salute on August 9th and 10th this summer.
Fun little history lesson for the kids.
Kind of got to go to it actually got to attend it last year. It's a really neat event, kind of brings you back in time and pretty fun.
Did you get to dress up?
I didn't, but I'm going to try to this year.
No fun at all.
No fun.
Speaking of what is fun, though, I'll have your sports highlights coming up right after the break. Stay with us.
Now from news to sports, some awesome baseball news for fans in the city.
Yeah, you're a big baseball fan, are you not?
Fan.
Of course, everybody. Who doesn't love baseball?
Exactly.
Well, we'll be getting the World Baseball Cup back again.
Awesome.
A little later than we had anticipated, but hey, better late than never. Thunder Bay International Baseball Association will hold a press conference tomorrow morning. This after news came down yesterday that the International Baseball Federation has awarded Thunder Bay the 2017 Under-18 Baseball World Cup. It's the same event we hosted back in 2010. It was called the World Junior Baseball Championship at that time. Thunder Bay had been gunning for the 2015 tournament, but that was awarded to Japan. Better late than never, though. We certainly proved back in 2010 that we know how to host. Roughly 50,000 spectators passed through the gates at Port Arthur Stadium to take in the two-day event 4 years ago. Well, Canada will go for gold in Olympic women's hockey after a 3-1 win over Switzerland in the semi-final. Thunder Bay's Hayley Irwin was back in the lineup for that game after sitting out the first three due to injury. Canada in the United States will meet Thursday in the Olympic final for a fourth time. The Canadians have won 3 straight golds at the Winter Games. The U.S. beat Sweden 6-1 in the earlier semi-final. And Canadians Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer were flawless in the free dance, but still had to settle for silver at the Sochi Olympics. The defending champions were edged by American rivals Charlie White and Merrill Davis, who became the first U.S. team to win gold in the ice dance. So just how is Canada doing overall at the Games through 10 days? Adrian Arsenault provides some insight.
Well, here's a lift. Magical hardware. Not the Olympic variety, of course, but midway through the Games, you take your inspiration where you find it. Because it doesn't always rain medals. It didn't in aerials tonight. It didn't in bobsled either. But those who count on the count aren't despairing. No one should.
I said the only goal we have is to win, is to fight for the total of medals account.
Mathematically, it is still possible. Look at this. Day 10 in Vancouver, Canada sitting at just 10 medals. Day 10 in Sochi, it's 15. Sure, most of Canada's medal opportunities were loaded into the second week in Vancouver. That was an edge. They're much more spread out in Sochi. So Canada's swagger could be matched by action. Canada isn't the only country with high expectations. Spare a thought for the poor Norwegian athletes. Until this afternoon, Canada and Norway were roughly neck and neck in the medal count. That should be something to celebrate. Norway is a country of only 5 million people, and yet the Norwegians are steamed. The Norwegian media less than charitable. Some calling the early showing in cross-country skiing 4th and 5th place a bit of a disaster, a scandal. The frustration aimed at those who wax the skis. Don't misunderstand, Norwegians are generally proud, but they want more and want to hear some explanations and apologies.
Of course, they have to say, excuse us to all Norwegian people when they do wrong.
You mean the ski waxers are apologizing?
Yes, they are. Have to do that because they are expecting this, gold medals in every race.
Wow, big expectations.
Big expectations.
Norway incidentally got a bronze in biathlon tonight. Good for her. Good enough for Norway. Still tied with Canada.
Norway!
Day 11 awaits for all. Adrian Arsenault, CBC News, Sochi.
Tough crowd, those Norwegians. Well, switching gears now to action on the local sports scene. What a weekend it was at the Fort William Gardens. The LU Thunderwolves hung on to beat Waterloo 6-4 on Friday after they let a 4-goal lead slip away. Then on Saturday, it was the Warriors that struck first, but once again, Lakehead had the last laugh, winning in overtime in a thriller of a game that had a little bit of everything.
There was nothing on the line for Lakehead Saturday evening at the Fort William Gardens. They had already locked up second place in the OUA West, but Waterloo needed a win to punch their ticket to the postseason. And after the Warriors ended LU's season last year in the first round of the playoffs, the Wolves were more than happy to repay the favor this time around.
Paybacks are whatever you want to call them, and good for the guys in there. I know a lot of guys that played the last couple of years really kind of took it to heart, and it was a good feeling for them.
We definitely use that as a motivator for us as they knocked us out last year. We definitely got a long history with them, so yeah, it made the win even sweeter.
An improbable win, all things considered, as the game looked very much in doubt from the beginning. But after falling behind 2-0 just 7.5 minutes in, goalie Jeff Bosch decided enough was enough. His crowning moment came in overtime when Waterloo's Colin Behenna was awarded a penalty shot after he was taken down by Mike Quinnell. Bosch was at his best when the game mattered most.
I personally think that penalty shots are a lot, a big part of it is mental. And so yeah, just calming yourself down I think is difficult to do, especially with what was on the line tonight.
Senior Ryan McGill, who got the Wolves on the board in the second period with his CIS leading 4th shorthanded goal of the season, says there's no doubt that penalty shot was a defining moment.
We were nervous, but we kind of had faith in Bosch. We do a good job in practice, kind of shooting at him, giving him lots of confidence. So we had faith, and we knew we had to win it for him after that.
When you have a big or a guy that is going to stop the puck back there, it just makes you feel a little more relaxed out there, and
it's just great to have.
It's also great to have a player that can score this type of a goal with just 13 seconds left in overtime. But Mike Hammond, who scored his share of remarkable goals for the Wolves, said afterwards it was all a bit of a blur.
Just coming over the blue line, almost turning it over, and I think I just made an extra move, got lucky, and tried to get a quick shot, and it went over his shoulder.
Bosch, though, remembers exactly how he felt watching it all unfold from the opposite crease.
Yeah, that goal was, you know, it was awesome to watch, and I know I felt like a fan myself watching it.
Well, just a great way for the Wolves to close out the regular season, exercising some demons against the team that knocked them out last year. Lakehead will face York in the first round of the playoffs. Game 1 goes Wednesday in Toronto. The series will shift back to the Fort William Gardens on Friday evening for Game 2, and if necessary, Game 3 on Saturday night. Tickets go on sale Tuesday. Well, the men's and women's basketball teams are also playoff bound. The women beat Guelph 87-78. The outcome ultimately didn't mean anything Saturday. They were already locked into the 5th spot, but that doesn't mean the game wasn't important, says Coach John Kreiner.
What we said we had to play for was the fact that to prove to ourselves that we can win every night, because we've split since Waterloo. We needed to come in here this weekend against a very good Guelph team that can score and prove to ourselves that we can win every night, because we don't get a second chance in playoffs.
Yeah, we're going on into playoffs on a high, especially that's really good for us because we've had a pattern of winning one night and losing the other night, so this shows that we could win any night.
I think we just need to be ready for every game. Like everyone we've played, everyone ahead of us has basically beat everyone, so it's going to be a really, really competitive playoff year.
It's a quick turnaround for the team as they travel to McMaster for their playoff game against the Marauders Wednesday. The men's squad will be at home Wednesday evening for their postseason contest against Western. The Wolves' 70-56 win against Guelph was the team's 3rd straight.
These guys did a good job of trying to figure out what works best for them. They're starting to come a little bit closer as a team, which is a goal that we've had all year. And I mean, really, these guys have just done a great job. I mean, credit to all our guys in there for making a conscious effort to be a better team.
Our coach kept telling us to be mentally tough and to always stick around. You know, if things go bad, you got to keep it together, stay as a team, stay strong. And we knew that if we kept battling at the end of the game, we'd be in a good position to win the game.
I still can't believe they're hosting a playoff game. Things didn't look good earlier in the season, but 3 straight. They're on a nice little roll.
Good for them. Good
Yep.
for our local teams. I've got a little bit of a frosty forecast coming up, but I'll have all those details after the break. I'm sure many of you had to pick up a shovel today. Can't say that I picked one up myself, but I'm sure many people in Thunder Bay were shoveling through most of the afternoon. But before we get to our temperatures, let's take a look across the country. Starting in Vancouver, 7, Prince George 2, Edmonton -2 and 2, in Calgary some sun and cloud, Saskatoon -3, and Regina 0, moving into Manitoba -5, and Churchill -21 and some sun and cloud. As we look into the region, -7 in Dryden and Kenora, Sioux Lookout -8, Pickle Lake -10, Big Trout Lake -13, Armstrong -10, Greenstone some flurries -11, Marathon -10, and Sault Ste. Marie -11 and snow. As we look into tomorrow, those are some wonderful temperatures. -2 in Kenora and Red Lake, -1 in both Sioux Lookout and Dryden, -3 in Pickle Lake, some sun and cloud, but some snow throughout the day. Big Trout Lake -7. Greenstone snow throughout the afternoon, -4, Marathon -3, and Sault Ste. Marie 0 with some clouds and snow. Currently at this hour, we're sitting at -6. We did see quite a bit of snow today, and 1 to 2 inches of snow will be with us until the evening. Winds traveling from the east direction at 20 kilometers an hour. As we look into tonight, the temperature will drop to -10, 60% chance of flurries, and actually 2 to 4 centimeters of snow that will take us into early tomorrow morning. Winds are traveling from the south-southwest direction at 20 kilometers an hour. As we look at our 5-day extended forecast, on Tuesday, 60% chance of flurries -1, some sun and cloud on Wednesday, but a high of 0. Thursday, some periods of snow throughout the morning and into the afternoon and 1 degree. Friday, partly sunny, -3, but a low of -20. And Saturday, some sun and cloud, -12. However, that temperature will drop to -26 throughout the rest of that day. So it'll be a little bit of a chilly weekend, but we've got a nice week of weather ahead of us. So what more can you ask for?
Yeah, not too bad.
Not too bad.
Not too bad at all.
Not too bad.
I'll take it.
Well, that is all the time we have. We'll see you next time. Thank you.